Hello, everybody, and welcome to Norm, the Cheers podcast that isn't quite. This is that special place on the internet where we talk every week about the greatest live action sitcom and all time, Cheers, and also why 2020 might have been low key the greatest year of my life. All right, discussing these subjects with me, as always, the fabulous Tookie Kavanaugh, the stupendous David Ravenel.
Ooh.
How's your week? NBA crowds aside. I'm
I'm
telling you, I feel a little bit crazy saying it, but I'm low key missing 2020. Like the empty building meant that nobody was going to do the wrong thing. It was all you had to do to be a winner was just survive the next day. There was that was the pressure. It's like, all right, we all just got to get through this together.
The bubble,
That's what we have to do.
The early days of the bubble were so well executed,
Right?
except for Rudy Gobert. But
That was pre-bubble.
yeah,
I will say,
Rudy caused the bubble.
yes.
I will say, I went to one of the sort of low attendance games at the Garden right before they kind of opened way up, and I got to say that's the way to view a sporting event.
Mhm.
5,000 people,
Yeah.
very spread out. I've never. The Celtics lost, which is in and of itself no surprise. I have never enjoyed a sporting event as fully as I did that one. It was just so chill. I could talk to my daughter during it. Nobody was yelling anything weird. Like it was maybe we should just cap. The salary cap has been scrutinized enough. Maybe we need to talk attendance cap. We need to talk attendance cap at like 6,000 people a night. Spread them out, and nothing stronger than popcorn.
Yeah.
Here's what I keep wondering, and I would love your opinions on this. Are we just coming out of lockdown with less of a sense of social decorum, and this is more prevalent? Or B, are we more sensitive to it now, which is not a bad thing. I don't use sensitive in a pejorative way. I'm feeling like were there always a couple of assholes in every sports crowd? And it was just like, yeah, Dougie's always going to be a fucking moron. And then you kick him out and that's what's happening. Like, he before it was a water bottle, it was a beer bottle. And that's just what life used to be. And we didn't hear about it because there wasn't Twitter and there wasn't Facebook. Is it like, having been here on the planet for some 46 years now, I'm not totally sure which of those is correct. Are we getting worse or are we getting better because we're aware of bad behavior?
People just started wearing pants again like 2 weeks ago. So,
Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like if someone was there with no pants, people would have been like, I get you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If someone was just, I completely forgot how to wear my pants correctly. I feel like that would have been a lighthearted story that would have made it onto the radio. So
Yeah,
a lot of the stuff from the last year, we're all kind of like, oh yeah, been there.
Yeah, I feel like we're still at this funny place where we still think about the Philadelphia fans on some level have been like revered for their ability to throw batteries at Santa Claus. We still kind of. So I feel like maybe we are getting better, and these are continual kind of growing pains as we learn as human beings what not to do and how not to treat other human beings.
Can we stop grading Philadelphians on a curve?
Yeah.
Like somehow the popcorn thing happens. It's like, Philly. Like it happens and then it's kind of gone in a couple of days.
I don't know.
People
who pronounce it water need to be on some sort of list.
Yeah, Mayor of Easttown.
Yeah, this is bad. The incident's bad, but it's not pooping Bill Russell's bad, but
right.
it's bad.
Right.
It's still bad, and it only further fuels Kyrie's argument. Like he doesn't realize that he's now making Kyrie look like the good guy.
Yeah.
Which
Cole, what's his face, who got banned and arrested.
Yeah, but just like, damn, dude, you made a flat earther the good guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2 seconds away from him making himself the villain.
Yeah.
stomping on the logo. And like, if the 5 people who watch this, please, nobody message me saying that I'm equating the two things, because I'm not. Nothing Kyrie did warrants somebody throwing something at him.
No.
Absolutely not. My point is, you dickhead who did the water bottle thing, we were 5 seconds away from everybody pointing out that when Kyrie had a terrible game, he just walked off humbly and didn't say anything. It was like, oh, well. And then he had a good game and went center court and stomped on the logo only after he had performed well. And that was going to be the narrative until that moron threw a water bottle.
Which, by the way, like, in a weird way, that's a gift. Because now, like, we have the greatest sports villain and this incredible rivalry, and like in terms of like theater and excitement and being able to like root against a guy, like that's a gift. Like that's a joyous sports moment.
It could be, but I mean, Kyrie changed that narrative because he didn't want to be that villain. And before game 3, I mean, what Jalen said was so good in his monologue. If you haven't watched it, watch it. Excellent. Which is the racism that is there and is a problem in Boston, is a problem in so many of these places, and has unique issues in Boston, is so important about, don't just bring it up before game 3.
Yeah.
Like this mentioning it before game 3 and making it seem like boos aren't okay was uncomfortable. Yeah.
And I certified Black person here. I can confirm Boston is pretty racist. Like I have culture shock going to other places sometimes because I'm like never not on edge, right?
Is it?
It's like, it's a special kind of racism in Boston because like in Boston, everyone's an asshole and racist. So like if I go somewhere and someone's an asshole, I'm like, are they, you know what I mean? It's a special kind of paranoia you develop. So there's no negating Kyrie's comments about the environment here. This city has a lot of work to do. This is the same city where somebody tried to ram a whole American flag through somebody. And it was like the New York Times like photo of the year at one point. Look it up. I think I reposted it and slapped a Pepsi logo on it when it was apropos, just because reasons. Because that time Pepsi solved racism.
It was a great.
Yeah, Kylie.
Yeah.
Kylie.
It was Kendall.
What is it? Was it Kendall or Kylie?
It was Kendall.
Oh, okay. Because somehow that would have tied in with the Kyrie thing sort of perfectly.
Too perfectly.
Yeah.
No, the universe can't let that happen.
Okay, Kendall.
Okay, so Kyrie didn't lie about the issues with this city, but there's a way to talk about it in a manner that is a little bit more tactful. It's not that he shouldn't have brought it up. It's just that like I'm never not going to tell somebody to speak their truth, but it's a manner of how and when you do it and how well you do it.
Yeah.
And is that point in time the best to do it when players are trying to, get their head in the game, and now they have to be distracted by the people who tell on themselves by doubling down on their racism by saying, I'm not racist. Like, you know what I mean? It's like maybe post-game press conference.
Yeah.
Post-game.
Yeah.
But I can't tell every other Black person how to do it. But when you've been in this city and you know how people can be, and it's the kind of city where a lot more people are offended at being called racist rather than at their own racist actions. They're more offended by that. It's like, focus on the game first and then call bullshit maybe after.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's just how I would do it.
I think that's a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Boston, I want to say it was Howard Bryant who was talking about this. One of the issues with Boston is it's much more diverse than people think it is.
Yeah.
There's so much more like diversity in our communities, so many people of color, and it doesn't have the reputation. And that's one of the major problems with Boston is because so many of the people with voices, so many of the people with power are still white men.
Mhm.
You know, and that is one of that is a big problem in our city. Is it has this national reputation of just being all like white people from Southie, and you want to point out like what a Brazilian population is here, the Dominican representation that is here, the thriving Asian community that is in the greater Boston area, and it doesn't get a lot of attention, and mostly it's because none of those people have a strong public voice,
Mhm.
and it's a huge problem. It is a huge problem. So if it was not Howard Bryant, I apologize, but I'm pretty sure he was the one who was pointing that out as being a major issue with what's going on in Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And not a new issue, as evidenced by the fact that we
No.
have a segment on this, not a podcast, called "How White Was This Episode?"
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
It's
And so, you know, and hopefully right now we finally have a woman of color as the mayor of Boston, which is amazing.
protect Kim Janey at all costs.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
At all costs.
So, and she's got a great chance of getting reelected. And Representative Wu, who is also a woman of color and is running, like two of the strongest candidates for mayor right now are women of color. And that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I hope that happens because that's major change that we need. But also, like, you know, we need city council seats. And I mean, it kind of reminds me a little bit. All right, I'm extrapolating. We're going to talk Cheers in a second. But it reminds me of when Barack Obama was elected president, but somehow Congress got whiter.
Yeah.
You know, as a backlash to the top. So it is great that Kim Janey is the mayor of Boston right now. But we need to fill, you know, our state senate and representative seats and council member seats and make sure that we do have not just, you know, white voices making all the decisions for the city and for the region. And there you go.
Yeah.
All right.
But as I was going to say, you know,
Yes.
Again, I think it's just me. It's my mind, a timing issue where you never not speak the truth, speak on it. But as the kids say, you're making the block hot because, you know, pre-game, that's an added layer of mental preparation that you're putting your fellow players in, where they also have to think of like, oh, now he brought it up and now these people are gonna, you know, so
and it feels so weird. No, you're 100% right. I agree. And it feels weird as a basketball fan because of the timing, because of, you know, he was here for 2 years. And after the first full year said, I'm going to be re-signing with you. It was like, oh, okay, great. You know, there were 2 years where he was here. And it was weird that after the first year he said that and then left. And maybe something happened that second year.
Yeah.
But I would have liked to have heard about it at that point. And now he's been gone almost 2 full years and had made statements before saying that he hadn't experienced anything. And then this happened. And it's like last summer was so much, especially in the bubble, where so much attention was being given to the subject. Like, why didn't we hear about this? And then before you finally come back in front of live fans, now it gets mentioned. It just feels weird.
It's not wrong, but it would have made things less sticky had it been a post-game conference.
Yeah. And
it would have stoked up, you know.
He does so much right, and I want to root for him.
Yeah.
And I feel oddly codependent with the guy because I feel like he's unhappy. Like I do. Like I feel like he's an unhappy guy who's looking for happiness in different places. I feel like it's one of the things that draw him and KD together. It's like I'm not happy, and I don't know why I'm not happy. And I think going here will make me happy, and I think doing this will make me happy. And I respect that he donates to charity and he does a lot of good work. And I'm like, I want to be on your side. And then there's always something that happens, and not even Boston specific, where it's just, where did you go? What happened? Yeah.
But I'll take this last moment to say, I've been telling people Danny Ainge ain't shit for years.
Wolf, this is a rough week for Mr. Daniel R. Ainge.
Been telling people he ain't shit for years.
Well, I don't
Is this
know.
potentially the end of the Ainge era?
Jesus, I pray. Okay.
I've been such a Danny Ainge apologist, and this was a tough week.
Tough.
I've been saying this man ain't shit for years.
I don't know why I didn't listen, Tookie. This is on me. Once again, an old white man didn't listen to a voice that was speaking truth in his ear.
Nah, but you hear it, you feel it now.
You're
growing and learning.
Yeah, slowly. It's a slow process.
A good time to point out that I believe Masai Ujiri's contract is up.
Ah.
Oh God, please.
Just throwing it out there.
Mike, we don't deserve. You know what? We don't deserve Masai Ujiri. We got to do the work. Masai Ujiri is a band-aid on my upbringing. You know what I mean? Like I gotta do the work, and then I get Masai Ujiri maybe.
But Masai Ujiri, then it's like, I mean, there's so much good comes from that, and he's coming into the organization. Danny Ainge aside, and the city's issues aside, he's also coming to the organization that had the first black head coach, that had that black player. I mean, he's coming to the Brooklyn Dodgers of the NBA, the first all-black starting five. I mean, they led the way in so many different places in this very, very troubled city. So I feel like that's a pro Masai Ujiri argument.
I will pick him up at the airport in my new electric car. But I can tell you, I'm the first person to admit I don't deserve him.
Well, you don't.
There's some atonement I have to do regarding one Daniel Ainge
and one Mr. Kevin McHale.
Oh well, that's I've aired some of that dirty laundry in public already.
That is true. That is any Dave Rabinow super fans. That's a good rabbit hole to go down.
I know. We got to get to this show, but here a fun sidebar. Trevor and I have started playing NBA 2K21.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Yeah,
that's phenomenal.
First of all, what the hell are Jaimin Hansu and Omar from The Wire doing in this shit? But also,
are they unlockable characters?
They're like part of the story. There's a story now.
I haven't played the story mode, so that is amazing.
Yes, like play story mode. But
Wire characters make everything better. So tip of the cap, NBA 2K.
Yeah, but so you start off as a high school player.
Mm-hmm.
But we were dying laughing at the high school cheerleaders of sorts that they have play during some break, and I have to recreate that dance and put it on TikTok now because it's hysterical. But I was telling Trevor about how Puritan the late great Red Auerbach was, where it was no music, no cheerleaders at Celtics games, and we were like the last team ever in the NBA to have dancers of any sort, and he didn't know. Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah. No, Red was like, we're here to watch basketball, everybody.
No, the sexiest thing out there is Larry Bird. That's that's
saying something.
The only cute freckles were on DJ.
No disrespect to the hick from French Lick. Man could rock a pair of Daisy Dukes, but
I'm just throwing out there. I think that's the next style to come back. I think somebody's going to get in the short shorts.
God damn it.
They're going to get in the short shorts. They're going to go, look at my range of motion. And people are going to go like, whoa, look at the tushy right there. Like two puppies tussling under a blanket. He's going to become a big marketing opportunity. And suddenly everyone's going to be in the tight shorts again. How is it different from skinny jeans?
There was no range of motion in skinny jeans, sir.
But my point is, you're showing the world all that the good Lord gave you. So if you're also going to be doing that in shorts, but more comfortable, why not?
This is a man problem.
I mean, one of many.
Tack it on the list.
That's so far down. The printer you have to replace the ink cartridge before it gets to that part of the list.
Jesus.
All right. Speaking of lists and important pieces of paper, let's get to this week's episode of Cheers. Season 2. Oh my God, what are we, 20 minutes in?
It's been a big week, Mike. Big week.
It's not a deep week, so I don't know how much we have to devote to this. It was an interesting week watching it for me, though. So, season 2, episode 12, Where There's a Will, special guest star George Gaines. It's a big week for you devotees of Tootsie, Punky Brewster, and Vanya on 42nd Street. Very, very big week.
Good.
All right. What was going on in the world when George Gaines moseyed into the bar where everybody knows your name?
Well, this took place. This aired on December 22nd, 1983, right
the
before
Christmas episode.
This is the Christmas episode. So I wanted to just share some of the top toys of 1983. The Atari 5200 was out there, which was the 16K, the double of the 2600. That was out there for an easy $200. In the problematic action figures line, we had the Dukes of Hazzard set for $5.99, featuring Bo and Luke GI Joe style action figures, and a General Lee emblazoned with the Confederate flag.
I had that.
I had that as well, and now I'm not even sure which is worse, to have the Tom Wopat figure or the car. I mean, they're both terrible.
I did too. I had a Matchbox version for some odd reason.
If you were alive when the Dukes of Hazzard was on, I don't care who you were, you had some item of the General Lee. So it tells you something. In 1983, everyone in some form or fashion had the Confederate flag. It was a wild time.
Yeah, I remember doodling that shit on my notebook. So, that's that was a choice that I made. That I have to as I wrestle with my Danny Ainge figures, I have to own that. Also out there was a Playmobil Space Adventure set for $20. Playmobil was severely underrated. I say that because I didn't have it, and it looks fun to this day. Masters of the Universe was coming out
to the Lego Oreo. Limping along for 50 years.
Ooh. Did anybody see the Playmobil movie that
no one one saw that shit.
My kid wanted to see it because what's his face, Harry Potter was one of the voices, and then it disappeared so quickly that we kind of forgot about it.
Yeah, it's an epic box office bomb.
I might track it down. My Little Pony was big. This was like the first generation My Little Ponies. You had Belle, Blossom, Cotton Candy, Snuzzle, Butterscotch, and Minty. Some top shelf ponies. Then really the two creme de la cremes, I would say, of the 1983 toy season was the for $8.97 was the Rub-a-Dub Doggy. Which was a washable plastic dog figure, which had an unforgettable theme song. Which, if you really want to feel the urge to throw yourself out a window, get it stuck in your head, as I have, it will never leave your mind.
Worse
and of course,
Cars for Kids.
I would say just below Cars for Kids in terms of earwormitude and not leavitude. And of course, the crown jewel of 1983, which caused actual riots in stores, was the Cabbage Patch Kid. It was the debut of the Cabbage Patch Kid.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think, to my memory, that was the first must-have toy that kind of sparked a seasonal shortage every year of a must-have. Got to get this thing that would be sort of short, that would run short at Christmas time. So
I might be remembering this wrong. I recall the Kenner Star Wars sets in the late 70s. There was a big run on them, and they had a hard time keeping them in stock. But it didn't become the parents killing each other story that Cabbage Patch became. It was another level.
That might be that's my memory. That's the first time I remember being aware of that. Toys didn't just that they weren't necessarily easy to get. That there was actual hazard that parents might have to go through in order to obtain them for their children. Anyway, those are some of the big toys of 1983 that were waiting under the tree just a few days after this episode aired.
Nice. And Tookie, how did they bring us into this particularly cold open this week?
It's just a weird one. I will say, for the record, though, I enjoy watching vintage footage of parents duking it out at a Kmart back in the day.
Kind of fun, right?
Better than hockey fights. These people would fuck each other up. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Tookie, what's your first like must-have toy that you remember? Is it the Tickle Me Elmo? Furby. Okay.
Furby.
Okay.
Yeah, and of course it came back to bite me with long Furby.
now you literally cannot escape.
I've been punished.
There's always a karmic price to pay.
Always. I hate it here.
Mm-hmm.
loved my OG Furby, and now all I get is just spammed with long Furby.
I never understood it until I had a kid and found myself driving to New Hampshire during the quarantine to get a Nintendo Switch. Because it was the last place that had one.
Yep.
And just how satisfying it is to actually find that thing for your kid. And you're like, wow. Yep. It's, we don't actually hunt and kill for food anymore.
This is as close as we get.
Yep. To actually killing the buffalo and bringing it home.
Yeah, this was also I didn't care for Cabbage Patch Kids because a lot of little girls in my grade loved Cabbage Patch dolls, and some of them had older sisters who passed along there. I just thought they were the most it's a not nice word to use, but dysgenic looking. Didn't want it. Barbie or bust.
They were sort of odd looking, but I understood the appeal simply in that they looked pleasant to cuddle. They were full. I could imagine that feeling pretty good when you wanted to cradle something in an existential panic attack.
Which was happening in '83, not an insubstantial amount.
Right. No, I didn't care for them. Also, I'm pretty sure the General Lee Matchbox that I had was probably something that got snuck in at like a Goodwill bag to pick up, because sometimes I would get toys from Goodwill. Because why would my household have that? No other explanation. But yeah, this is another cold open that has something to do with the rest of the episode. But a bizarre, a weird. I didn't laugh. I didn't haha.
Oh, I chuckled. I chuckled at this one, but tell me your thoughts.
Yeah. Okay. So even the Cheers is performed in front of a live studio audience. Didn't happen this week. Nope. It just was Cliff talking about his supervisor coming in. So yeah. So he's got to go, I guess, see his supervisor before the deluge at the post office because of the Christmas rush, postcards and such. And so Cliff, wants to find his coat, but it's been buried by everybody in their mother's winter coat. So the whole coat rack in the bar is just piled. And Carla bravely volunteers to go in, dives headfirst into that pile of coats to dig out Cliff's jacket, but emerges with a fur-trimmed, long red garment of sorts that is absolutely not built for New England wet winter weather. Okay, this is an, even to call it an October coat is a stretch. But she emerges with this and threatens Cliff's life if he doesn't take the coat, even though it's clearly not his. And he, puts it on. It happens to fit. And then, he gives the faux fur a sniff and he says, well, at least dogs won't attack their own. Roll credits.
Yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed Rhea Perlman's physical stuff in this. I agree. Seeing her dive in. And I also have seen too many people wearing the inappropriate coat in that snowstorm to not be able to go like, yeah, I get it. I've seen that person in Boston just walking through like it's October when it's actually January in a blizzard.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's the kind of coat that they wear where it's like, but it's so pretty. And look, there's this thing on the wrist, so I'll be warm. There's fur.
Both Boston was named one of GQ's worst dressed cities, but honestly, there are some circumstances in which you gotta choose function over fashion.
Yep.
The literal climate just won't allow for stylish choices if you gotta be somewhere.
Yeah, I've almost never chosen fashion first, so you've already convinced me. Already. All right. Let's get into this week. I have some interesting feelings about this week's episode. I really liked it the first time I watched it, and the second time I watched it, I had issues that I suspect might be my issues. But it was a weird week. It was something I thought a well-directed episode. I thought it was a well-written and well-acted episode. I'm potentially just bringing my 2021 self into this episode, and it struck me like, did you guys see when that Lord of the Flies story went viral last year? So, okay, Lord of the Flies, in case you don't know, in case you didn't have to read this claptrap when you were in high school, dear viewer, it's a shitty book about this boys choir that it's a piece of shit that you don't learn shit from.
Justice for Piggy, though.
Yeah, and there was no Piggy. That's the point. That's the point. This is based on a true story, but the opposite happened. And that's the story that went viral last year. It's this boys choir, and they land on this island, they're shipwrecked. And because they're there, they turn on each other, and they start deciding who's got the power by holding the conch. And the poor little Piggy gets killed. And it's like, and it's all about, yes, I've seen the heart of darkness, for it's seen it in me, and it's in everybody. And the true story that it's based on was actually this group of boys that got shipwrecked and how they survived for years by taking care of each other. Like, one of the boys broke their leg, and it was like, no, you need to let that leg heal. And they all picked up his tasks until he could heal. And then they reunited years later, and they hugged, and they were all there. And it's all like, and I think that's what I felt when I watched this the second time. The first time, I just appreciated that we had tight joke writing again and nice moments for Coach and well acted. And I love George Gaines, and I liked all of that. And then I watched it again, and I'm like, why did you have to make everybody in this bar a huge prick? Like, did everyone have to suck? There's no part of them where people could have gone like, hey, you know what? We're each getting $2,500. I feel like a lot of them, like, these are people that I'm personally invested in and like. And I feel like more than just Diane would have been able to say, hey, we're all getting $2,500. Or, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to buy out the Boston Garden one night and all go to the Bruins together. Like, we're going to do something special as this group of 40 people, and we're going to have a great time. And instead it had to be, and I get that some level it's dramatic, you know, that they feel like they need to have conflict. But I feel like there could have gotten to a better resolution where some people maybe get selfish and then they come around and there's some kind of better result from these people that I spend the next 9 years of my life with and that I want to enjoy. And I guess it bugged me that was where it went at the end. And especially, I like Sam, and I don't like that they made him that guy at the end. And it felt unjustified because he was like, all right, everyone's going to get an equal share. And then he palms it, which, by the way, that's not the way fucking magic works, because he's looking at it the whole time. And when he burns it, you can still see the writing on it. That's not how palming works. So do better, Jim Burrows. And yeah, and then he does. So I'm very torn on this week's episode. Here's the summation. I'm doing everything fucking out of order. I don't know. The world's ending. I don't give a shit. Look,
buckle up.
George Gaines comes in as a millionaire who's going to die. It starts with this weird little section with Sam doing some magic tricks with matches, just doing Chekhov's magic trick, because it's going to come back later on. And he's doing these things for no particular reason. And then George Gaines is there playing this character named Malcolm, and finds out that he's got 6 months to live, which is what you always tell the waitress. And then he gets to relive his youth by being a bartender for the evening. And he has such a great time that he leaves behind a codicil to his will saying he wants to leave the gang at Cheers, $100,000. Everybody turns on each other and they decide that they deserve more than an equal share. And it's really weird, like the logic that any of them use to decide that they should get a bigger share. I don't even know how any of them kind of justify it. And it starts with $2,500 to everybody, which is $7,000 today, which would have made everybody pretty happy. And as soon as they started to sense that, oh, this might be a problem, you know what? I'll just take the 2,500. Most people would have done that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, the guy comes back. He signs the power over to Sam to decide where the money's going to go. Sam says everyone's going to get an equal cut. Everybody gets mad about that. And Diane says you should just get rid of the will, which is also stupid, by the way. You should just get rid of the will because the money's going to make people mad. And so he pretends to burn it. She goes back to the office. She finds out that he pawned it. And he's going to keep it and split it with her. And then, yeah, he starts saying, oh, boy, if he just kicks off in 4 months, we could have that baby in the water by spring. And, oh, my God, what a terrible thing. And then he's so horrified that he burns it. And then she realizes that he probably pawned it and says anyone who did that would just have guilt eating away at his guts forever, which is not the most convincing line that makes me actually think that he's going to feel bad. And then he does have a nice moment of I hate her, and he actually burns the will. I liked the joke writing. I liked most of the direction. I liked a lot of it. And the second time I watched it, I just went, this does not hold up, and it's making me mad.
Yeah, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's this episode has a deeply cynical worldview, which I think actually kind of jibes with some later episodes, with some later seasons where everybody does kind of feel where we're reminded that these are not necessarily world beaters. You know, I don't know if we've kind of established that for Norm, but I don't know if we've kind of like really lead into that. You know, that Gary's Old Town Tavern always beats us kind of aesthetic that Cheers is going to sort of lean into in later years. This felt like a real kind of like nod in that direction that this is a, for all of its sort of warmth, this is a bunch of scrappy people. You know, these are people that are trying to kind of scrape by a little bit. But
they do look out for each other.
And yeah, we see that earlier. So it is weirdly cynical. I like the first half a lot, and then the second half is a little confusing.
Yeah, the first half of it felt like a weird cross between The Lottery and Lord of the Flies, and then the second half became The Telltale Heart.
You think Shirley Jackson did some ghostwriting on this one?
You know, I wonder.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is. Like, that first half is really fun. I loved watching George Gaines have fun with these people and work behind the bar.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've never seen Tootsie, look, there are going to be parts that age badly, but he's fabulous in it.
He's wonderful.
And overall, it's a very, very funny, well-acted movie.
And George Gaines, you know, while we're here, we should throw some flowers at him. A man who passed only 5 years ago. Really an amazing theatrical and film career. Just an incredible performer who leaves behind this incredible legacy. And his performance in Vanya on 42nd Street is unbelievable. Like he. Just a really, really wonderful performer. And I was so happy to see him. And once again, like I thought they did a better job this week than last week with regards to using their guest star. But I really thought the episode suffered when he actually left. Once Malcolm Kramer gets on the plane, the episode kind of flops a little bit.
Agreed. Full agree.
Yeah, we needed him there the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's more interesting if he decides he wants to do something there and then they have to talk to him about it.
Yeah, I agree.
think that's a more interesting episode. And instead we got like the two random auditioners to be the new Cliff with the lawyer and the skivvies guy, which is the creepiest line in a while. Drop your skivvy. Where the hell did that come from?
That end of the bar suddenly became I didn't want Diane to walk past that area anymore.
Yeah, it suddenly became like it suddenly became the visiting room scene from Goodfellas. Like, what the hell's happening here?
Ugh.
Yeah, it was like it had Patriots locker room energy of the mid 80s. Like
Yeah.
just real bad New England sexist vibes. Didn't like it.
By the way, can I pour a little bit out for Shelley Long's hair right now?
Oh,
Because I feel like they made her try something. They permed her hair. I don't know if she did it for a movie, but they had to write in that joke. We hate it. It's like, I feel bad that scene happened to Shelley Long. I feel bad that her hair is there. And if you watch this on Peacock, somehow her with the perm is the picture that they use for each season of Cheers, which is so wrong.
that's foul.
That's not cool. That's like
not what
making
you
your seventh grade school picture your wedding picture. That's not okay.
You know,
What are you doing, Peacock? Be better.
This is a universally acclaimed, beautiful person.
Yeah.
Like, just put one of the thousands of pictures of Shelley Long being beautiful up.
Just wrong. Just wrong. There's one moment. Did anybody else notice this where Norm is just drinking from a pitcher?
I did not notice that.
Yeah, go back. It's early on. It's when Coach has one of his asides. He has a bunch of great little drive-bys tonight. But yeah, where he says, no, he doesn't know the meaning of the he does the trick with the fire. The lawyer guy says, boy, you really have a high threshold of pain. And Coach says, I don't know the meaning of the word. Yeah, pretty tough guy, huh? And Norm says, no, he doesn't know the meaning of the word threshold. And it's very funnily delivered. But Norm is actually like holding a pitcher of beer, which makes you feel like a joke got cut.
yeah.
Yeah. Like if you go back and look, it's just a pitcher of beer in front of him.
It seems like, yeah, like that scene with George Gaines making the martini blindfolded, that kind of drops this in media res there. Like, It seems like that scene must have gone on longer. And I frankly wish it had, because that's, for my money, like the joy of the whole episode is like, is watching that scene, like watching the bar kind of come, kind of gather around this guy. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it is. You've got a charming guy with a great reason for being there and reminding you why this bar is so special. More of that. More of that.
Yeah. I think they criminally underused him in this episode.
Yep.
He needed to be in more, just the bulk of it.
Agree.
Yeah.
And because it makes you remember what's special about this place.
Yeah, and you see Sam really doing a great job being a great bartender and bar owner and human. And you see Diane, like one of the scenes I genuinely loved is the first scene between George Gaines and Shelley Long when he she makes the kind of like funny, the sort of like goofy joke trying to make him laugh, and he says, "I have 6 months to live," and she takes like a full like 8 seconds and sits down next to him and doesn't play anything for like I'm flustered or for laughs, and genuinely apologizes, and they have this like actual connection, and there's this kind of it sort of opens the door for everything that happens for the next 10 or 15 minutes, and it's just beautiful. It's a great moment.
By the way, I don't drink, but I feel if I did, it would be hot buttered rum during a snowstorm. I don't know, but it sounds great.
It's not bad. Legal Seafood does an okay one. My family had a round of some at Thanksgiving 2019.
Yeah. If you were getting hot buttered rum, where would I go?
Not Legal
What's a
Seafood.
good spot? Not Legal Seafood, clearly.
It's an okay one, but not Legal Seafood.
All right.
Yeah, anywhere that is like a variety bar would have hooked you up back in the day.
Yeah. That would have been nice. That feels like a drink to have at the bar at the Four Seasons. I'm forgetting what that's called, but being able to look out at the snow falling on the common, like in one of the nice cozy couches, looking out the window, hot buttered rum. That sounds good to me. That's what I would do. Which is right near where Cheers would be set. So it makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think you might have just describe the dragon that every New Englander might be chasing. Why we endure the other 11 and a half months living in this hellscape.
We're just hunting for that one cozy moment.
That's it. Just one cozy moment. That's the anthem for our particular NCAA tournament.
Yeah. Oh, one other weird thing. When they're all fighting over the money, there's one couple just leaving the bar. Did you notice that?
I did not. That's funny.
No.
Yeah. I again, this is what I caught in the second viewing. And I have to say, in defense of Mr. Burroughs, when people watched this when it was made, you didn't watch it again 12 hours later.
Right.
You just watched it, and I didn't catch this stuff the first time. So maybe I'm holding him to an unfair standard because I'm watching it in a way that it wasn't made to be watched. But when you watch it again quickly, like, what's Norm doing with the pitcher? Where are they going? They're all fighting over the money. They don't want $5,000. There's two of them. What the hell are you doing? Yeah. So that struck me weird.
You're definitely viewing it from a lens from which it was not intended to be viewed.
Yeah.
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 That's no fault of your own. It's just TV standards. We're different.
Yeah. It's just weird. Just some weird stuff. And any other thought before we get to the categories?
It's really funny that for a Christmas themed episode, it begins. It really is kind of like the inverse of a Scrooge story, where it begins in this like warm-hearted, expansive place, and it ends in this very sort of like peering inside like Sam's dark night of the soul, and basically saying like, we have to protect we have to protect ourselves from each other because we can't be trusted to look out for each other's best interests. It's really kind of subversive and upsetting in that way.
It's grim. It's grim. All right. Tookie, any other thoughts?
It felt like another well acted, well written, but no jokes, just vibes.
See, I felt like that was one of the saving graces, though. There were jokes in here that I enjoyed. There were a lot of good Coach jokes in particular. So that one thing, I mean, they're definitely vibes, but I do feel like there were jokes interspersed here that I did enjoy and laugh at. I mean, I did like which is going to be my joke of the week, so I'll just throw it out now. The whole setup where Coach is talking about, oh, I had to dig my car out, and I had to go and do this, and oh my goodness. And then, well, why didn't you just take a cab? Well, the hotel's only a block away. It felt like a waste. I laughed both times. I loved the delivery. I genuinely enjoyed that. And yeah, Coach just had a whole bunch of jumping in lines. And every time he did it, it hit it. I laughed out loud totally by myself, and I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it felt like every time we were really kind of veering into like some unpleasant territory, and maybe this is a sort of a plus in the column of like craft, the writers would give us like a good Coach joke to kind of anchor us in one human being in the bar who is like above criticism. And that's another moment I really liked, when they decide they need to send an emissary. Everybody can universally agree that it's Coach.
Yeah.
Coach. Yeah. And there's a very sweet moment where Sam just kind of cradles Coach's face with so much love.
Yeah. Trying to explain to him why.
It makes me go like, don't make that guy a prick by the end of the episode. I don't want this. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's so many like lovely Sam moments where you're like, oh, this is not a great person, but like a really excellent, stand-up guy, a wonderful person, a good friend. You see some nice sides of him.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, Tookie, do you have a joke of the week?
Some vibes. So this wasn't, I don't think it was an official joke, but the line that caught me was when, Sam was talking about, oh, that's 6 months to live. That's just a line. Yeah. It's the way that Diane said, what kind of reptile? Like that just tickled me. I like that. So that wasn't quite a joke, but that's a moment that made me smile, because it was a lot of vibes, but I didn't haha.
Reptile was a good line. Yep. Tip of the cap, Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
Dave, your joke of the week?
You know what? I'll give it. I did really like the Sam Diane rejoinder. It was like a little uncomfortable where we're talking about their sex life, but I really did like how it was structured and the fact that Shelley Long got the last laugh. You know, when she says to George Gaines's character that you made a wonderful gesture and these people are asking you to repeat it, and Sam leers at her and says, "You ask me to do that every night," and he gets a laugh, and she says, "I'm waiting for you to get it right," and she gets a bigger laugh, and it that was like a vaguely Spencer Tracy Catherine Hepburn kind of like vibe to that energy. Mostly you could kind of like condense it to the chuckle that she gives right before she utters the line, because she realizes that she's come up with a perfect bon mot to throw back at him. So I'll give it to that little back and forth.
Strong. I like that. Yeah. Shelley Long getting 2 jokes of the week there. Much respect. Much respect. All right. Tookie, how white was this episode?
Oh, I would at first I was like, this is starting to feel like a very Caucasian episode. But they came through. They were the same recurring 4 people, but I spotted 4 Black people in the bar today. A couple sitting at one point together to the left of the door, like when you're facing the door to the left, and then another couple to the right of Tecumseh when you're facing Tecumseh, and then one of the pairs was following the action and walking around the room when they were holding up the will.
Yep.
So four Black people this episode. Not bad.
Nice.
Not bad.
All right. There we go. Your 80s moment of the week.
Phew. Okay. I had 3 like last time. A lot of stuff is jumping out to me. When I first turned on the episode, or when I was first watching, and then it got to the not just the cold open, but the bulk of the episode, I was like, is that dude from Punky Brewster? So I was, excited to see George Gaines. I never knew him as George Gaines. That's Henry. That's Henry to me. So, I watched plenty of reruns of Punky Brewster as a child, but I had to stop after Cherry got stuck in the fridge. That's when I tapped out of the show.
That was a traumatic moment.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have not considered that in a long time.
Yeah. When I was like, oh, a little black girl in the fridge, I'm out. Like that's when I tapped out of Punky Brewster. But like
that was the original women in refrigerators trope.
Yes.
Wow.
Dave, are you gonna be okay?
I'm gonna need a minute. I'm gonna lay down. I'll be back.
I'm still scarred by Soleil Moon Frye doing the chest compressions. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. Breathe. The way she said breathe haunted me. This pleading.
Wait, we broke Dave.
Breathe.
I think we broke Dave.
Yeah. Dave.
I've never believed in the idea of repressed memories before this moment, because this shit is flooding back.
Haunted. Soleil Moon Frye, clear as a bell in my head.
Yeah.
That breathe.
Yeah. So like I don't know him as George Gaines. That's Henry. Yep. He's always been Henry to me. So when I turned on, I'm watching that episode, I'm like, oh my God, it's this dude from Punky Brewster. It's Henry. So that was one 80s moment. My second 80s moment is at, the beginning of the bulk of the episode after the opening credits, a woman smoking inside. She was smoking inside the bar. And I was like, wow, okay, that was just a thing. But the big 80s moment for me was the fact that back then, $100,000.
Yeah, that's my 80s moment. Yep.
Yeah, because they talked about how much they could do with $100K, and I was like, wow, how times have changed, inflation, So that was my big 80s moment. But like all 3 of those grounded this episode very firmly in 83 for me.
It shows you how completely skewed our idea of money has gotten. in that, yeah, I'm hearing him talking about being rich because he has $100,000. And don't get me wrong, I would love to stumble upon $100,000, but I wouldn't be like, now I'm rich. It'd be like, now I can put a down payment on a studio,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah, like there's no one's getting a 60-foot yacht with their half of $100,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I looked up the numbers, so it says it's worth about $270,000 today, which seems off to me.
That doesn't seem.
Yeah, because I was also looking at the buying power of 100 grand, and it's very different simply because housing used to cost a much smaller portion of your income. And some things, it's weird to look back on some of that stuff and what cost less and what cost more. That an Atari 5600 was $200, and you could still get a Switch for close to that price. It's weird that that has not gone up all that much, but that your house costs 10, 20 times what it would have then.
Mhm.
So it kind of, yeah, I feel like it's fooling us into thinking that money is still money, or even worth more money than it used to be worth. But in the big stuff that you actually need, it's completely useless.
No, but $200, especially for a video game that was going to become obsolete in X amount of time, that was a dent. Whereas we don't think about that as much now.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, $100,000. I'm rich, and I'm willing to throw all of you out for this. Yeah, that felt very 80s.
Yeah.
What would the number have to be today? It'd be $1 million, right?
Oh,
He'd have to say, I'm going to leave $1 million to the bar.
yeah.
Like, for whatever people think of what that means compared to what it used to mean, I feel like if you still hear $1 million, that's very impressive. I would love to have $1 million.
I do have a price. I'm very much eat the rich, but if somebody wants to just like casually drop 40 mil in my bank account, that's cool.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Everyone has a price, mine is 40 million.
There you go. Dave, did you have a different 80s moment?
I did. No, I really couldn't sort of like get my head off of George Gaines. I think I told you guys that I did a whole play in grad school talking like George Gaines.
That's so weird. What is this play?
It's a little known play by a fellow named Anton Chekhov called The Cherry Orchard.
Yes.
And yeah, I was cast as the Gaev, the sort of brother of the head of the household there that's getting moved off the cherry orchard. And we used to talk like George Gaines. We used to just walk around grad school and say things like "her punky," because that was fun. And then my director said, "Can you just do that for the part?" And I was like, "Well, won't it be bad?" And apparently it might have been bad, but everybody liked it. So, and I don't know if I've done anything as successful as pretend to be George Gaines for 2.5 hours. So I could George Gaines really was maybe it's not so much an 80s moment, but it was a moment when for a brief moment hanging out with him again, I felt young.
Nice. All right, Sam, creepy quotient. It was unusually high this week for an episode where he didn't do anything overt. And I think it was simply because of the two lines where it's implied that he's used the line, "I'm going to die to get a woman into bed," and "I'm rich to get a woman into bed." That really brought the quotient up very high this week.
He was so close.
He was so close to being the best version of himself.
He was,
and then he had those lines, and then he stole the will, and then he burned the will when the money could have helped people. Like, Norm's been out of work for 73 years. That's one thing I could not get past is, hey, it's great for you to save your soul when you own a money-making bar here in Boston. Norm needs the money. Like, there are out of work people over in that bar. You either say, all right, you guys take it and I don't need it, and you're going to split it up evenly, but you don't burn the will. Yeah. So I thought those two lines made Sam creepy, and I don't know if creepy is the right word, but him doing that final act and also at the behest of Diane, who doesn't have the right concept of money and should not have been looking at it that way. I disagreed with Diane's attitude of burning that too. That was wrong, and it's also not what Malcolm wanted. He wanted to give that money away. Yeah, I'm very much against that.
Yeah, I think that absolutely has to count on the creepy quotient. Like, because anytime you're going to swindle your friends, you're not being the stand-up guy that we saw you be for the first 15 minutes.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
He was so close.
Yeah. So close.
So close.
I know.
And like there's so many like great Sam moments. There, like last week, Sam was such a lunkhead, and this week it was really nice to see Sam. Like there were so many great moments of Ted Danson, where the camera just kind of like stayed on him as he thought for a minute, and then like would respond with something kind of usually surprisingly clever. And there was so much lightness to this episode.
Yeah.
And then but yeah, it did kind of devolve into cynicism, I thought.
Yep.
Maybe it is the ultimate 80s episode. Maybe this is like the ultimate sort of like Wall Street, like greed is good. Like this is what we are ultimately. Maybe this is what the Burrows are trying to tell us.
Maybe. All right. Where are we ranking this episode on the season? I think we should give up ranking the episodes this season. I think it's a weird season. I don't want to rank them because I feel like I'm ranking them all low, and at some point it's going to be like somehow we have 18 episodes in the bottom half, and it's not going to make any goddamn sense. So I'm not rating the episodes anymore.
For this season?
I'm fighting my way through season 2.
Okay.
Like I would put if I had to rank them on a scale of like 1 to 22, ultimately, I have a feeling this one's going to sit in the top 11.
Yeah,
it's
going to be towards that. If you want to rank it, it's going to be somewhere near there.
I'm going to have more positive feelings towards the first 15 minutes than I am. There's enough.
That's fair.
We sorted through enough bad stuff already. Enough lesser episodes to populate that second half. So this season like is on some level about like kind of finding the diamonds amongst the rubble, I guess.
Fair.
Yeah, this is better than most of the stuff that's been in the middle, but only because of George Gaines in the episode. He carries most of this episode, and he's hardly in it.
Mm-hmm. Fair and true. All right, putting you to bed where there's a will. You're going down. By the way, this is a very Chekhov heavy episode of Norm the Cheers podcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah, multiple references. I'm still bitter that our alma mater at Wheaton, they did that the season after we left. They did Cherry Orchard. I would have loved to have done that. Yeah.
Rude.
Instead we did. It's funny, Dave and I don't know if we've talked about this. We did a bunch of plays together in school, as you might have guessed. And we had a director that we really loved, our professor, David Fox. And we each did 4 plays with him. Am I correct?
Yes.
We were always in David's productions. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we did one that we absolutely loved, one that was okay, and then 2 that just kind of felt like, what the hell happened here? I would love to hear if you have a differing opinion on this, Dave. We did Noises Off together, which is one of my favorite theater experiences. I absolutely loved it. I had a ball.
Sure, absolutely.
Our freshman year, we did Oedipus Rex, physically agonizing, and no one enjoyed watching it. David's never going to see this, right, Dave?
I can't imagine.
David, we love you, and Noises Off makes up for everything else. But yeah, like I'm bummed because I think it would have been amazing to have gotten to do the Cherry Orchard, and we didn't get to do it. And instead, senior year, we did this play called The Visit. And I don't mean to cast aspersions on this. Dave was the lead in this, and this is in no way Dave's fault. But the play isn't great.
Oh, I disagree with you. I love The Visit.
Okay.
But I'm not sure colleges should do it because colleges should try to do stuff. But there's no way to do a good college production of that play.
Not really. Yeah, I mean, it's, it's all about like middle-age angst and regret. And yeah, it's
and sliding into fascism.
maybe that's the right way to put it. What is that?
And sliding into fascism too.
Yeah.
Like it's a big mess of a play.
Yeah, maybe that's the right way to put it. And I think I was a little bit sad because we were going to do Tartuffe,
Oh,
which would have been a ball. But
that's a fun one.
Yeah, our classmate Sam died during winter break before that semester. And it was very clear that Sam was going to be Tartuffe. There's just no question that was the thought, that David was very excited to direct him in that. And when Sam died, we just couldn't do Tartuffe anymore.
Yeah.
And then we did the opposite of Tartuffe, which was The Visit.
That play was in some ways that the experience of doing that play reminds me a little bit of like, I don't mean to belittle this but like it reminds me a little bit of this NBA season where like you kind of can't like it was just such an abnormal situation, like, you know, because we were all kind of dealing with so much grief, you know, that you just kind of can't sort of like classify it as like a normal year. Like it was just kind of it was an unfortunate circumstance.
Yeah. And I don't mean to be ungenerous towards the experience, but it did. I think you, but yeah, Dave, I think you summed it up really well. The Visit is a quality piece of theater that no college should try to do. It does make sense. And Cherry Orchard, perhaps Cherry Orchard is the same thing. There's too many middle-aged people pondering the winter and what's going to happen to the Cherry Orchard. But it's also this gorgeous play, and they picked a beautiful translation of it. And yeah, when they decided they were going to do that, I just remember thinking, son of a bitch, I really wish we had gotten to do that. Chekhov is one thing I've always wanted to do and never did. Never been in a Chekhov play. Never even did a scene.
Oh, it's genius. I love it.
Yeah.
Almost still a little salty about it. Tried to get my acting one teacher to let me do the monologue from The Seagull. Dude's monologue from The Seagull.
Yeah.
She wouldn't let me do it.
Why?
You're not ready. You're not ready. But then I took acting 2 and fucking bodied Blanche Dubois in the scene with Where Were You, Stella?
Nice.
With my scene partner. Fucking bodied my final. Thank you.
Bravo.
Thank you. One semester later, you're not I'll show you not ready.
Yeah. Yeah. Never tell an acting student they're not ready. Like, try it. That's the whole point. You're in class.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go
You're
make
ready.
a mess.
I don't need to be in college, dumbass.
Yeah.
The whole point of being here is because I'm not ready. Good to have Oski watching.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but that's the whole point. And that's one thing that frustrates me about college theater is when they think they're producers and not teachers. We're supposed to be learning shit here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Getting my college theater venting out. The good and the bad. I gave a lot of love to Noises Off. Oh, and then in there somewhere mixed in was The Tempest, which was exactly what college Shakespeare was supposed to be. A good shot.
Yeah, it's like, you know, it's a college Tempest.
Yep. Gave it our best whirl. Did our best. That's all you can do when you're doing college Shakespeare.
I am grateful that at least for the next, my daughter's 11, the next 7 years I don't have to go to any more college Shakespeare's.
Oof. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Tookie, for continually going back to Dave and my college experience, but I saw pictures from that production of The Tempest. The set.
Very Yannick.
Yeah. I didn't even realize that at the time. Oh my Lord.
It's an O'Keeffe painting come to life.
Jesus. I had no idea.
Listen.
How did I miss it?
I appreciate that as a Georgia O'Keeffe stan myself. America's greatest troll. Oh, these are flowers from up close. Sure they are, madam. Beautiful.
So many men walking through so many galleries going, I don't usually like flowers, but I like this. Hmm.
I can't find the flower here.
It's right there. How are you missing this?
You just zoomed in, bro.
All right,
Zoom
maybe
out.
that's it.
Zoom out.
All I see is one flower.
It's all the same. It's not.
Wonderful.
Good Georgia O'Keeffe time. Georgia O'Keeffe. Sorry, I didn't mean to leave the O out.
She forgives you from beyond.
All right. Putting that bad boy to bed. All right. Anything to plug this week?
Season finale of the Rehash this Friday.
Yay.
And we've got Wes Hazard on.
Oh, Wes.
I
Jeopardy
know.
champion Wes Hazard.
I know. Which I'm so
Good get.
excited about.
What are you watching?
Maximum Overdrive.
Oh, Stephen King movie. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do you pick the movie every week or does Dave get to pick sometimes?
I let David pick once and he ruined it. So, so I've been picking from there forward, but when we pick up again, because we're going on a summer break, but when we pick up for Labor Day weekend, he will be able to choose some films.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. Any live shows to promote this week or are you good?
I'm performing at a high school.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Well, then we probably don't need to plug it to other high schoolers.
No.
But Tookie is available for private bookings for high school shows.
They're going to learn about Barefoot Contessa, and it's going to be weird.
They need to.
They should.
It's important. Dave, anything to plug?
Oh, I guess I can. I think I have the date right. This is a ways away, but on June 27th, I believe, I'll be performing with the Empire Review outdoors at the Roger Williams Park overlooking downtown Providence.
Hooray!
Yeah, it'll be cool to get back out with a band and doing some a big. It's a ticketed show, but it's going to be fun, generally family friendly. I think we're doing it in the early evening, if I remember right. I'll have more details as they come up. But the 27th,
Nice.
we'll be doing a fun outdoor variety show here in lovely downtown Providence, and one of the beautiful spots in Providence. Yeah, it's a really great place to even if you don't want to watch a dumb show, you can sit and just look out at the skyline and enjoy the summer.
Very nice. All right.
Empire Review is good stuff.
Something might happen before this because I still need to message Tookie about stuff. But right now, I finally have some stand-up in the books. On July 1st, I'm going to at least get my feet wet at the Hideout at the White Horse, telling a few jokes. Something, I promise it'll be something I haven't told on stage before. I don't know if it'll work at all. So far, I've written about whether my son believes in God and a bit about my wife and potato chips. So one of those things will happen. Yeah, we'll see. But you could start planning for that. It'll probably be rough, but it's going to happen. All right. Go watch some NBA. For Dookie, for Dave, I'm Mike. We're here. We'll be back next week. We are 2 weeks away from, I think, one of my favorite episodes of all time, which is the Sam and Diane and Coach as a threesome. It's good in a non-sexual.
Phrasing.
Troika, as a platonic troika,
Okay.
hanging out. And it's a great episode, and I'm looking forward to it very much. So that's coming up. I don't even remember what next week is, but I'm excited that one's on the way. That's going to get me through a few weeks. So there you go. All right. Stay safe, everybody. Get vaccinated. Stay healthy, and we'll see you in a week. Bye, everybody.